Word God reads from the King James Version. This is what it says. And it came to pass, as he went to Jerusalem, that he passed through the midst of Samaria and Galilee. And as he entered into a certain village, there met him 10 men that were lepers, that stood afar off. And they lifted up their voices and said, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. And when he saw them, he said unto them, Go show yourselves unto the priests. And it came to pass that as they went, they were cleansed. And one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, and with a loud voice glorified God, and fell down on his face and at his feet, giving him thanks, and he was a Samaritan. And Jesus answered and said, Were there not 10 cleansed? But where are the 9? There are not found that return to give glory to God, save this stranger. And he said unto him, Arise, go thy way, thy faith hath made. For a few moments, I want to talk to you on this subject, how to respond after a pandemic. How to respond after a pandemic. In our text this morning, it picks up in the beginning of chapter 17. While Jesus is teaching his disciples to never lead others into sin and always be willing to forgive those who sin against you. As a matter of fact, he tells them if someone trespasses against you 7 times, and one repents and get against you, and then you must forgive them. He says if one trespasses against you 7 times, and they ask you for forgiveness, he says that you still should be able to give them forgiveness. And the question is, some of us fall off and we be mad at each other for 20 years, and by the time we approach each other, by the time we try to figure out what went wrong, we don't even remember anymore. But the disciples said, after Jesus said, Lord, after he said to them, he said, if you ought to forgive them, they said, Lord, increase my faith. Maybe there's someone who is listening to me right now that's still holding a grudge, that's still mad about something that you don't have no business being mad about, and instead of you trying to get retribution, you ought to say, Lord, increase my faith. Every time I tried to do right, evil was always present, but Lord, would you increase my faith? Every time I wake up in the morning, I experience bad news, but Lord, would you please increase our faith? But Jesus now tells them it doesn't require a whole lot of faith. He says all you need is the faith the size of a mustard seed. And I'm mighty afraid that many of us have lost our faith. Many of us are lost our faith in Christ Jesus because too often we worry about things we have no control over. And we go to God time and time again as if the Lord has forgotten. As if the Lord is getting old. He never sleeps, he never slumbers. We don't have to remind him the same thing over and over. He heard you the first time. But the thing about God is that every time when you go to him, he said he has enough patience knowing that if he give you what you want right then and there, you may not appreciate it. But if he make you have to wait a little while, if you have to suffer a little while, he said if you suffer with him, you shall reign with him. So every now and then, don't worry about your suffering because there's a brighter side ahead on the other side. You just keep your hands in the master's hands. But in our text, we see Jesus now. He's going to Jerusalem. He's passing through Samaria and Galilee. And he enters a certain village, and there he encounters 10 men which stood afar off. But these 10 men that had this disease called leprosy. And leprosy is a disfiguring skin condition that affects the sense of touch and also the voice. Leprosy, this allows you to lose your sensation in some parts of your body, and you're suffering agonizing pain. In others, you have lumps and growing on the skin, especially the face, and it gives you a horrible appearance. It can be treated today, but most Bible history, there was no treatment for this disease. And others knew that this leprosy was contagious. Leprosy with their fright, the lepers with this frightened appearance, with this strange voices, they had to live apart from others. They had to wear torn clothes, and every time they approached anyone in proximity of them, they had to yell out, unclean, unclean. Living a life in a pandemic. People stayed away from lepers because they were an outcast. They were outcasts to society with no hope of recovery. And what do you do when you can't get your breakthrough from your condition? What do you do when you don't have to stay in your house for 40 days and quarantine? What do you do when there's no cure for your situation? What do you do when every time you approach someone, you got to yell out, unclean, unclean, and you're an outcast, you're separated from everyone else, you're spread out. You can't even get close proximity of them because you are an outcast. You are contagious. You have this disease that nobody can fix. But I have some good news today. If you stay with me, you'll find out that there's good news at the end of this text. But these 10 men who had this situation, they realized that because Jesus was passing by, I've heard that Jesus was passing by, and if I can just get close up to him, if he can just see me, if he can just see my condition, that my current condition is not my final conclusion. If I can just make enough noise to get his attention that what I'm looking for, he's the one who can heal my body. If you're sick, he can heal your body. If you need financial breakthrough, he can restore. If you need joy, he can restore. If you need peace, he can restore. Whatever you need, God got it. I wish I had about 5 of y'all who can testify that every time I turn it over to the Lord, whatever I found myself struggling with, if I go to God, if I just look up towards heaven and say, Father, I stretch my hands to thee. There's no other help I know. I tried drugs and drugs failed me. I tried money, but money failed me. I tried women, but women failed me. But when I went to God, I found that I have everything that I need. These men were lepers. They were outcasts. They were unclean. But they still had faith. And my brothers and my sisters, when all hope is lost, when all hell is breaking loose, if you can just hold on to your faith, he may not come when you want him, but you're going to want him when he comes. And he started passing by, and with their low, scratchy voices, they said, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. And it lets me know that they knew something about the Lord. That he not only is Jesus, but he's also Master. He's the one who's in control of every situation. That the doctor can't do it, money can't do it, finances can't do it. But if I just say Jesus, whatever I need, he's able to heal my body. The first thing we see in the text is that these 10 men tapped into the right source. These 10 men tapped into the right source. These lepers knew who Jesus was and the power he had, that he possessed, and said, I know this condition has me an outcast. I know I can't be around people. I know I have to be at a distance. I know I don't have enough strength to raise my voice, but if you can just hear me, if you can just hear the feeble sound of my voice, if I can just get your attention, I know that you're able to heal my body. Just like you did the woman with the issue of blood, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I shall be made whole. He says, whatever you need, God got it. And I'm mighty afraid that we try to do things on our own too much, and then we get mad at the results. But can I just tell you that every time you go to the Lord, you will find out when you go to God, you don't need nobody else. That if you just humble yourself enough and you just tell them that, Father, I tried friends and family, but family left me. I tried everything, but I want to try the Lord. And when I try the Lord, I'll find out I don't need nobody else. And can I just tell you that can't nobody do you like Jesus. Can't nobody love you like Jesus can love you. Can't nobody hold you in the midnight hour like the Lord can hold you. If you just go to God, you don't need nobody else. These men tapped into the right source. And there you are, when you get to college, you're going to have all kinds of temptation on your hands. But I dare you to tap into the right source. Remember those situations how I had to holler at you, I had to scream at you, but when you get there and all hope is lost and you can't run to the church, you better run to God. Escape said, who can I run to? You better run to God. that in the midnight hour when you got to struggle with those tests, when you just lift your hands and you just bow your knees and you just tell God, I need you to see me through this situation. My mama is miles away. My daddy is miles away. My pastor is miles away. But I have a God who's everywhere at the same time. You better tap into the right source. He says, I need a breakthrough. I need a healing. And Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. Wednesday before church, my wife had to rush my son to the hospital because he had a fever, 101, almost 102. So my wife took him to urgent care, and as they ran these tests on him, and they provided the medication, they wrote the prescription for us to pick up. Then it started raining really hard, and she started to, well, maybe we don't need to go. And I'm like, no, we're going to go anyway. But we're dealing with this situation. She's worried about her son. He's burning up. He's not sleeping. He's getting up all at the middle of the night. But we got to get to the house of the Lord. And I believe that just because the doctor prescribed the medication that we have to take, it ain't necessarily the medication that did it. It's because we brought him to the house of the Lord. And when we brought him to the house of the Lord, we were tapping into the right source. All I'm trying to tell you is that every now and then you won't face some trials and tribulations in your life, but you ought to have enough sense to tap into the right source. And the right source, and when you go to the doctor, they give you bad news, when they give you bad reports, when they told you they done all they can do, you better tap into the right source. And the right source is King Jesus. When you tap into him, he has the final say. These lepers made up in their mind that we can stand here and die, we can rot, or we can tap into the right source. But not only did they tap into the right source, but one remembered where he come from. Here it is. The text says, when he saw them, he says, go show yourselves to the priest. And it was a custom or regularity from the law of Moses requiring those who were healed of an impurity to be examined by the priest before being pronounced well. The 10 men were cured as they went on their way. What I like about it is that the text doesn't say that Jesus touched these men. Follow me. It doesn't say that he prayed for these men. He said, the text says, when he looked at them, he told them, go show yourselves to the priest, which lets me know that he don't have to physically touch my situation. He doesn't always have to bow and pray for me. All he has to do is look at the situation. Somebody missed your shot. He didn't pray for them. He didn't touch them. He just looked at them. And when he looked at them, he says, go show yourselves to the priest, which lets me know that not only do he have physical power to touch and heal my body, but all he has to do is just look at my situation. And that's good news to somebody to know that if he just look on your situation and he tells you to go show yourselves to the priest, that while you're on your way to the priest, you can always praise him in advance because you've already been healed from your situation. But here it is. One of these men had enough sense to know that because he healed my body, I got to remember where I come from. But he didn't do like some of us. He didn't do like most of us. When we get our healing, when we get our breakthrough, we get too busy enough to tell the Lord thank you. But this leopard man had enough sense to know, because he healed my body back there, and he told me to go here and show myself to the priest, I'm going to go back to where I came from and glorify God. And the text says he lifted up his voice with a loud voice, and he fell on his face and began to worship God. My brothers and my sisters, when was the last time you worshiped God when you came out of your comfort zone? When was the last time you praised him so much that you shocked yourselves? That you tried to sit down, you tried to be cool, calm, and collected, but that spirit jumped off on you and you couldn't compose yourself. Jeremiah said it was like fire shut up in my bones. He said, when he blesses you, you can't keep it to yourself. He said, go tell somebody else that it was nobody but the Lord. Somebody's still looking at me like I'm crazy. But when was the last time you had a situation and you know it was nobody but the Lord who brought you to that thing when you should have been dead, sleeping in your grave? But God. I wish I had somebody who had a but God moment, who can keep myself. The leper went back. This leper went back and said, I got to go back and tell him thank you. Because I remember what he done for me. Because he done for me what nobody else can do for me. And isn't it good news to know that when all else fails, when you're constantly getting those bad reports, that the reward comes when God can just speak it. God can just look at your situation and you can be made cleansed. But what I really like about it is the final thing we see is not only do you tap into the right source, not only do you remember from where you come from, but can I just tell you that you'll get more than what you came for. You missed it. You missed it. You'll get more than what you came for. Let me teach you. These men, in their condition with this leprosy, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. They went and showed themselves to the priest, was already cleansed. One went back, glorified God. But can I just tell you, but Jesus asked him a question. He asked him a question. He says, wasn't there not 10? Did not cleanse 10? But only one of them had enough sense to come back? And what I really like about it, this is what shot at me, Reverend Beyonce, is that the one that came back was a Samaritan. Yeah. And Bible history teaches us that Samaritans and Jews had no dealings with one another. But he had enough sense to know that because this was Jesus the Christ, I got to go back and show my appreciation, Deacon James, that my money couldn't do it for me. Nobody could speak over my life when I was healed. I couldn't name it and claim it. He says, I needed somebody who had supernatural powers. I needed someone who all they had to do was just look at my situation, and whatever I was dealing with, he was able to restore me. And is there anybody who can testify that every time I went to the Lord, I found that that's all I needed in the first place? Every time I cried out to the Lord, he heard my cry. Every time I looked over, he inclined his ear and heard my situation. Can I just tell you, all you got to do is go to the Lord. But you'll get more than what you came for. They came to be healed. They came to be restored. They came to get a breakthrough from their situation. They didn't want to die in this condition. But one of them had enough sense to go back to where it came from. And when he got there, Reverend Parker, the text says not only was he cleansed, but he was made whole. Don't rush past that like that's the same thing. Because being cleansed can be temporary. Because he cleansed him from his condition. But when he make you whole, he'll save your whole life. And do I have a few witnesses who can testify? But I don't want to just be cleansed. I want to be made whole. Because if I'm made whole, he'll save my life. He'll restore me to his family. And he'll let me run to his arms and welcome me back in the family. Here it is. Confirmation happened to me Wednesday. I told you that we had to rush my son to the hospital. But every time I come home from work, it doesn't matter what time it is, my daughter runs to me and she embraces me. It's as if she waits till I get home, Deacon James, before she goes to sleep. It doesn't matter what time it is. When she hears a key going into the lock, she comes running to Daddy, embraces me and say, Daddy, I missed you. Now she goes back and she lays down. But here it is. Wednesday evening, before we was getting ready to prepare for service, there was a knock on the door in Pastor Johnson's office. And seemingly you'll think it's one of the preachers who's getting ready to preach. But in comes Minister Michael Turner. And can I just tell you that Pastor didn't have a look of disgust. He didn't have a look of frustration. But he embraced them because her son had come home. And that's how the same look my daughter gives me when I come home. She embraces her daddy. He embraced his son. And that's how the Lord is with me and you. That every time we turn our back on him, every time we stray away from him, every time we do go left when he tells us to go right, every time we sin and come short of his glory, he embraces us. He welcomes us. He restores us. You still miss your shot. Have you ever been restored from something? Have you ever been set free from something that you've been dealing with, that you've been struggling with? But when you go to God, he'll still embrace you. He won't judge you. He won't look down on you. He'll welcome you back to his family.
get more than what you came for. I don't know how you feel about it. I'm done. I don't know how you feel about it. But every time I come into the house of the Lord,
Come on, man.
I'm expecting more than what I came for. Because I can come in feeling sick, but I can leave feeling good. I can come in with my head down, but I can leave out with the joy of my salvation. I can come in ready to throw in the towel, but I can leave with my head hung high. All I'm trying to tell you that if you come into his presence, you'll get more than what you came for. And if you don't put anything into it, you won't get nothing out of it. But some of y'all ain't said a word. But if you just look up towards heaven and tell the Lord, Father, I stretch my hands to thee. There's no other help that I know. I tried everything else, but I want to try the Lord. Ain't he all right? I said, ain't the Lord all right? One Friday, y'all know what he did. He died. Then he died. They hung him high. They stretched him wide. He hung his head. And for me, he died. But the story don't stop right there. Because they took him off that old rugged cross. They placed him in a ball tomb where he stayed there all day Friday. Did the same thing all day Saturday. Came back Saturday night, he was still there. But the Bible said it was early. I said it was early. Sunday morning, somebody know what he did? He got up. Didn't he do it? He got up with all power in his hands. Power to make me walk right. Power to make me talk right. Power to make me live right. Because there ain't nobody do it like Jesus. Ain't nobody do it like the Lord. Ain't he all right? I say, ain't he all right? This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. And the world can't take it away. Say yeah. Say yeah. All right. Sunday morning, he got up. He got up without power. Somebody say yeah. I got a feeling, but everything gonna be all right. Because we've been made endure for